Hi, my video today is on a notebook on the Apocalypse by Jonathan Edwards. It was edited by Stephen J. Stein. This is from 1972, so it's a little older. The main point of it, it's a private commentary on the end times by Jonathan Edwards. It was compiled over 3 decades or 35 years. And through Stein's writing, we see the way the book was made. We see how it was passed down and how it arrived where it is now. And then we see its contents and the importance of the contents in a theological and historical way. So first, we're going to talk about how the book got to where it is today. It was passed down to some of his contemporaries and his family. So Samuel Hopkins, Jonathan Edwards Jr., his son, Sereno Eads White, his grandson, and then in the 1900s, it arrived at Yale's library, but for 60 years it was kind of in non-use. It wasn't until 1960 that it arrived at the Rare Book and Manuscript Library. And a point that Stein makes through this is that this work by Edwards was ignored by a large amount of historians. He names Perry Miller, Alan Hemmert, and Ola Winslow. And with Alan Hemmert, he points to the idea that he had uh, in his one of his books that the apocalyptic writings of these were spurred on by the Great Awakening and kind of fed into the revolution. And through Stein's work, which came out in 1977, the works of Jonathan Edwards, Volume 5, Apocalyptic Writings, which is over 508 pages, we really get a better view of this idea, and kind of Hemmert's ideas and historically have been proven wrong by this. So now let's get into the contents of the book. Um, there's a few main parts. The first part is a systematic treatment of the book of Revelations, which by itself is very important because you don't see this in any other Edwards' work. You don't see a large pulling together and just a work on the book of John or Deuteronomy. You see sermons and pieces on work, but you don't see a whole book of his uh, for a book of the Bible. Second, we see notes from Moses Lohman. He was what Stein called a divine contemporary, dissenting divine contemporary of Edwards. Um, Edwards criticized a lot of Lohman's work, but also it helped confirm some of his eschatological views on the end times. Third, and probably the most interesting for me, is the scrapbook part of the book. It has clippings of newspapers and magazines to keep track of this cosmic battle between good and evil that's going on. So the conversions of the Jews, Indians, Russians, and Turks were all signs to Edwards that there was a battle going on, and these were all uh, winning signs, or battles versus the English and French. He would keep track of the amount of guns taken, the amount of men taken by the English over the French to show that the coming of Christ is imminent. He also wanted lively preaching and fervent prayer to hasten the coming of the Lord. And so, what's the importance of this book? Basically, it has three main important themes. It's the historical importance, that this was going to be his jumping off point for his magnus opus. The history of the works of redemption was going to be his title, and we see this when he takes the presidency of the College of New Jersey, and he writes saying that he wants to make this work about from the beginning of time up until through prophecy, through Jesus, the church, and up until present day. Then it also puts the second point is it shows high priority that Edwards puts on the Book of Revelations and prophecy. And thirdly, like I said earlier, it shows other historians the importance of apocalyptic thinking and writing for Edwards, and it kind of takes back on Hemmert's emphasis that the apocalyptic writing was only spurred on by the Great Awakening, because we can see that this was already happening way before the Great Awakening was going on with Edwards' early writings on this.